Hello, welcome back to Emily A to Z. My name is Emily and today I am tackling our fantasy bingo, but make it horror? So I didn't even know about the Our Fantasy Bingo at all, I'll be completely honest. I learned about it from YouTube, specifically Gavin from Gavin Reads It All. I know he is currently doing this challenge where he has to read an entire row before the next row is unlocked, and he's going in kind of blind, and that's awesome. And I thought about doing that, and then I went, no, that's a lot. Have I made things weird for me? Yes, absolutely. So already I have the bingo card printed out, laminated. I've got it here so that I can reference it. And I looked at every single one of these squares and I went, what if I read horror? What if I found a horror book to fit every single square? Am I going to be able to read a book for every single square? I have no idea if I can actually do that. So I am just trying to get a bingo, and then if I can black out, awesome. Not black out in real life, but get a blackout my board. So this is where the complicated part comes in, because limiting myself to only horror, that's hard enough. But then I thought, why not make it even more challenging? Give it a randomization factor. Because I could give myself a bingo by just reading down a column, reading across the row, reading diagonally. I could do that, right? 4 corners, whatever. No. I thought, how about we give this a randomization factor? And not random number generator, no. I spent hours researching different books, horror books that would fill every single square. The only one that I'm still struggling with is this very bottom one, which says pirates. I am still struggling to find a horror book with pirates, because the only one that came to mind was an S.A. Barnes book, and I've already read it. So if you have that, drop that in the comments of this video. Give me a recommendation for space or water pirates, or a horror pirate book in general. I might have a lead, we'll figure it out. Anyways, I've spent research, found a book or multiple books that fit either the regular mode, the hard mode, whatever of this challenge. And abiding by most of the rules that you can't read the same author, no rereads, 1 book per square, or only 1 book can be a reread, you can only substitute 1 square from a previous challenge, so on and so forth. Trying to actually follow the rules of this challenge. Those parameters aside, I then went in and put holds on all of these books. And that is my randomization. As the books become available, that's the order that I will read them in. I am hoping to prioritize audiobooks over physical books, because I am also doing this at the same time as I am playing the Readathon Rebellion, as I'm also trying to catch up on some of my other TBRs. So I am prioritizing audiobooks over physical books in these cases. So as these holds come in is how I'm going to read them, and that's how I'm going to keep track of my squares. And guess what? The first hold has become available. I have the audiobook, and then I did pick up a physical copy so I could show you, and we're going to talk about it. And the book that has come in is Tiny Threads by Lilliam Rivera. And that is going to fit right here. If this is our bingo, this is BINGG1, and that is the high fashion square. What is that? What is the task for that? High fashion. Read a book where clothing or fashion or fiber arts are important to the plot. This can be a crafty main character, such as Torn by Rowena Miller, or a setting where fashion itself is explored, like A Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. Hard mode, the main character makes clothes or fibers. What is this about? A young woman gets her dream job working for a famous designer and discovers the dark side of the glamorous world of fashion in this gloriously sinister novel of supernatural suspense. Fashion-obsessed Samara finally has the life she's always dreamed of, a high-powered job with legendary designer Antonio Mota, a new home in sunny California far away from those drab Jersey winters, and an intriguing love interest, Brandon, a wealthy investor in Moda's fashion line. But it's not long before Samara's dream life turns into a living nightmare as Moda's big fashion show approaches and the pressure on her becomes crushing. Perhaps that's why she begins hearing voices in her room at night, and seeing strange things that can't be explained away by stress or anxiety or the number of drinks she's been consuming. And it may not be just Samara imagining things as her psyche unravels, because she soon discovers hints that her new city and the House of Mota may be built on a foundation of secrets and lies. Now Samara must uncover what hideous truths lurk in the shadows of this illusory world of glamour and beauty before those shadows claim her. Ooh, this is not very long. It's only 237 pages. The audiobook is only 7 hours, and I do tend to listen. I start at 1.5 and then go up from there. So I could probably get this listened to in quite a while. I do really like this cover, though. Those are my dogs. So I will update you when I'm, 30-ish% of the way in? Sure. That sounds like a plan. Editing Emily here. This is a trigger warning because the next clip that you are about to watch, I do delve into discussions of sexual assault and rape in the book that I read. The content itself is upsetting, and also I became rather upset whilst I was filming this. I will have timestamps put up on screen for the duration of the content that I talk about those things. If you are very sensitive to those subjects, please feel free to skip over that subject, those times, or even skip my review of talking about this book at all. I know that I could have cut all of that out or edited it down significantly. I chose not to do that. I chose to keep my raw reactions in, my anger, my frustration, my physical grief, because I think it's important to continue to show how these topics are addressed, how they are handled, and how it does impact readers. So again, if this is upsetting to you and you feel like you can't handle me discussing what happens, please skip ahead. You are under no obligation to watch this part of the video or this video at all. Be easy with your hearts. Take care of yourself. It's update time. Ignore the dirt basket of, these actually are clean, not dirty. Anyways, I'm past 30%. I'm more like 60%. And all I can really say is it has finally picked up. It was feeling very slow to begin with. So I do wish that there was a trigger list for this book. I personally think trigger warnings are really helpful. It can help you decide if you want to read a book. They can help you decide if the content inside of the book is going to be safe for you mentally. I do think it is everyone's responsibility to be aware of and responsible for their own triggers. So you need a trigger warning list is great for that, because then you can come into this knowing, hey, there's certain content that may mess with me a little bit. There's no trigger warning list for this book, and I really wish there was, because I read trigger warnings, so that way I don't view them as spoilers. That, to me, that's not what they are. It's a way for me to go, okay, I know that there is this content in here, and I can prepare myself for it. The prologue opens with essay. It was not on page graphically. It was not graphically on page, but it was on page. And even though we were not told specific actions that were happening to this unnamed female character, it was really upsetting. And I don't know how else to explain that. Like, it wasn't graphic. We weren't getting a play-by-play, but there was enough in there that it was gut-wrenching. It was very upsetting to read, or in my case, listen to. And I just wish that I had known that that was how the book opens. And it was like, oh, okay. And then we jump right into this other story. And for me, it was also really disjointing. The prologue opens with this, does it even say when it's happening? No, we don't know when it's happening. We don't know this person's name. We don't know decade, years, whatever. But we know this horrible thing happens. And then we jump into a different time, a different place, whatever, to now follow our main character, Samara. I think when I read this, I was saying it the very white lady way of like Samara, which they make a point of highlighting in here. She is Cuban, so she and her family say her name is Samara, and all of the white people say that her name is Samara Martin, but it's Samara Martin. And I'm like, ooh, I respect that. That's, yeah, because us white people, we do that shit. And it's like, that's not okay. That's not their name. Say their name the way they want their name said. There's just so much that happened in this book that I do wish there were trigger warnings for. Our Samara has moved to California, to Vernon, California, and she has taken this job for under House of Mota, and she is his like marketing person, but it's intense and he's a jerk and you don't know who you can trust, and she ends up in this like spiral of she's drinking too much. And I do wish that alcoholism was listed on the triggers because it's in here. Like, she is an alcoholic, and we watch her descent as she starts drinking and drinking more and drinking more and drinking more, and then she's drinking it in her coffee and like falling in the shower, and then her coworkers are like, hey, what's going on? And on top of all of it, when she goes to bed at night, every single morning at 2 a.m., she is woken up with these like sounds, and she has no idea where they're coming from. And it sounds like an animal, and there's like grunting and this horrible sound, but she can't figure out where it's from. And this is happening. And then she can't go back to sleep. So then she's becoming sleep deprived. And then she starts drinking to help her fall asleep. But then she's being woken up and she can't go back to sleep. And so she's sleep deprived. And it's just this never ending cycle. And so we are watching at this like halfway point. About halfway is when it really like hits, where she has become an unreliable narrator. We know she's drinking constantly. We know she's constantly buzzed. We know she's not sleeping. And when you sleep deprived, it does mess with your brain, right? So she is on edge. She is like about to crack. She's in this high pressure field of work. And then she thinks that she sees like a woman that needs help, but the woman's not there. And it just kind of keeps going. I will also say, because I don't think it's a spoiler, and I do think if someone is interested in this book, this intriguing love interest, Brandon, he did not show up till like halfway through the book. And there is, at minimum, dubious consent, but really it's rape. They go out as a whole. She gets drunk, says that she is drunk. He is not drunk because he's driving, and he's like, hey, I can take you home. I have to stay calm. She agrees. She at first said, hey, I'm gonna get a ride, I can walk. And then realizes that's too complicated. She's so drunk that her phone screen is a blur. She cannot operate her phone. That is how drunk she is. Takes him up on the offer. He takes her home and gets into bed with her. If she is that drunk that she cannot operate her phone, she cannot consent to having sex. That is not consensual sex, and it is rape. And that scene, that sex scene, is on is on page. We do see some of it. It is on page. We do get this. She has these flashes of like out of body, in her body, out of body. And at one point, she flat out says that like she's not sure that she wants to continue with this anymore, that she doesn't think she likes it, and yet it continues. And that was also really upsetting. And I know that that was intentional. We're trying to draw a parallel between what's happening to our main character and whatever happened to whoever the character was in the prologue. And at its core, I think we're facing a haunting. I believe there is some sort, this town is haunted, and for some reason Samara is the one that is being host to the victim, host of this ghost of whatever happened in the past. But I am struggling a little bit with how some of this is being done. I will finish it, it's just heavy. So, and I'm not happy about the sexual misconduct in this book. I have finished Tiny Threads by Lilliam Rivera, and I'm giving it a 1.5. I realized I was like, oh, but I want to keep reading it. And then as I started getting like these last like several hours of the audiobook, and I was like, I'm hate reading this. I am not having a good time. How do I explain? I know I have this tendency to give spoilers for books that I hate because in my head, I hated them. So you don't need to read it. So let me tell you everything that happened. And I don't know if I want to keep doing that. Ugh. Because what if someone does read this and they do enjoy it, right? And this becomes like, I think it has, let's go look at its general ratings. Fun fact about me is when I start a book, I do not look at its ratings on Goodreads. I don't look at its overall ratings on Storygraph. I just don't. I avoid that because I don't want to be tainted going in. If I start to have comments, questions, concerns, then I'll go to like Goodreads and like scroll down to the reviews and see if people are having the same concerns that I'm having. Otherwise, I avoid it. So I'm on Storygraph. Its average right now is a 3.27 based off of 333 reviews. That's the average rating. Like someone else just gave it a 3.75 and they're saying like, oh hey, I really appreciated what they're trying to say. Another person said 3, which I would agree, like unlikable main character, lackluster plot, and did not leave a lasting impression. I agree with that. So then why did you give it a 3? I don't know. 4.5, 1.5, another 1.5, 4 star, 4 star, 4 star, 3 stars, 2 stars. Wow, I did not like this at all. Truly can't believe I finished it, but I attribute that to my stubborn nature. Wouldn't recommend. Let me just talk about why I didn't like it. And if I get into spoiler territory, sorry. We are exploring the relationships between people of color, especially women of color, and how their bodies are used to further the gains of other people. And I do mean their bodies, and I do mean it in all ways, shape, or form. They are worked hard. They work back-breaking jobs. One of the key things is that in this town, Vernon, right next door to the fashion place is a slaughterhouse, and it reeks. And the workers there are men and women alike, and they are doing this horrible, disgusting, necessary work that is physically hard and emotionally hard, and not being recognized for it. The seamstresses inside of this fashion industry, this fashion house, are all Latinas or Latinx. I'm not sure which is the correct there. If you know, educate me. I've tried to learn and I feel like I confuse myself. I will continue to learn. But they are all Latinx, and that's telling, right? They are the ones that are doing the physical labor of making the garments. They are sewing the pieces together, whilst the white people or white presenting people are the ones that are higher up in the company. They're the ones that are on the PR team, the marketing team, they're the designers, but the women doing the labor are not. And we are following one girl in particular, like she wants to like rise above that. Like she doesn't want to be on a seamstress forever. She's like hoping to move up the chain. And then on the other side of that, we do have the yucky side, the nasty side of their bodies being used. They are targeted, they are assaulted, they are attacked. At its core, this novel really focuses on the sexual assault of women. It is constant. The diving in of women's bodies being commodified and used for pleasure, for gain, for whatever is very powerful throughout this book, and it is very disturbing. And I know that that was the point, and I understand that sometimes we can use this as a metaphor. It didn't feel that way, and if anything, it just became too much of a book where I was sitting there going, okay, when's the next sexual assault scene? Because it's coming. everything revolved back around bodies and sex and desire and like what your use is as a woman physically. And I hated it. I absolutely despised that. I feel like I understood what we were trying to do, but it was lost on me with just the copious amounts of sexual like degradation and just bad stuff. I do not enjoy that. It is not something for me. Apparently this is a big trigger. It is very upsetting for me. And I hate that that's like what it was. And like, there's like history repeats itself and it's cyclical and this is going to continue happening. Like we open with this unnamed prologue, unnamed character that is hinted that it is a long time ago. It's in the past and something horrible happened to her. And now the cycle continues, right? That it's always going to continue. And women are always going to be the victims. Yeah, we know that. We live this. We know that this is what's happening and it sucks. And then it just ends very lackluster. Like, I can't even tell you if I remember how it ended. I was just furious. I was pissed. And it just was like, oh, and that's the end. I hated it. I hated it. 1.5. I'm done. I mean, yeah, like that was the whole point. And I'm mad. I hated it. Okay. But that means we can cross a square off of the bingo card. And that is very exciting. So let's see what happens next. We have a new book. The next hold that has come through is Bitter is the Heart by Mina Hardy. I've never read anything by her. I don't know anything about this. I picked this book for Hidden Gem, and that prompt is to read a book with under 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. New releases and arcs from popular authors do not count. Follow the spirit of the square. Hard mode is that it was published more than 5 years ago. I know that this is not the hard mode of this book. This was published in 2024, August or September of 2024. So it is a year old. Let's see what it's about. Haunted by childhood abuse, a woman is forced to care for her cruel elderly mother in this electrifying horror novel exploring generational trauma, perfect for fans of Cassandra Caw and T. Kingfisher. Tamar Glass fled an abusive mother when she was 18, running away from home to find a better life elsewhere. She has lived in freedom from her mother Ruth for decades, until one night she wakes to find her now elderly mother standing over her bed, disoriented and confused. When Tamar reluctantly takes in her mother, strange events start happening inside her home. The house becomes oppressively hot, lights flicker, and cupboards open and shut on their own. Whispers filter beneath her bedroom door. Tamar learns that Ruth has been kicked out of her assisted living home, and other facilities refuse to house her and endanger their own residents. Tamar has spent years suppressing her childhood trauma, but it comes rushing back with each strange event in her home. As Tamar copes with their disturbing past, which her mother stubbornly refuses to admit to, she can't shake the feeling that there's something worse than her mother lurking in the shadows. Perfect for fans of The Haunting of Hill House, this terrifying novel unravels one dark strand at a time. I am already about 30% of the way into this book. My audio hold came in for it, so I did listen to the book while I was at work. I got to about 30 to 35%, and I have noticed this trend that at like the 30% mark in horror is like when things start happening. It's like, that's like the flip, right? It's like about a third of the way into the book, and that's when like the things start ratcheting up. And so far, Tamar has had to come back and deal with her mom and is dealing with the consequences of being a divorced middle-aged woman back in her hometown and her mom needs help. She has been living in this assisted facility. She has just been told that, hey, your mom can't be here anymore. You got to get her out of here. And Tamar has reluctantly brought her mom into her house to stay with her until they can get her somewhere else. I will say it is a little hard for me to read. I don't have the best relationship with my mother, and seeing just some of their interactions on page are eerily similar to interactions that I have had with my mother, and I just really relate strongly to Tamar as a character. There's a good like 20 years age difference between us, but I can understand her feelings of frustration and hurt and even longing when it comes to this fractured relationship with her mom. And I think it's affecting me so much because it is so accurate to my own lived experiences. So I am gonna kind of take this in chunks, gonna take my time with this. Nothing crazy had really happened at first. It was just feeling kind of dramatic, just kind of like this family drama, this exploration of dealing with abuse and having to grow with it, and knowing that the person who hurt you isn't sorry, or is sorry in their own way. Like, her mom does not take accountability for anything that she has done, and at this point we still don't know the full like scope of the abuse. We've gotten little pieces of it, we've gotten little hints about it, but we haven't actually gotten the whole story. We know that things were really bad, that it was emotional abuse, that it got physical. At one point she very casually, like a trigger warning for child abuse, casually mentions that her mom like pushed her down a flight of stairs, and that like has caused her lifelong pain. And it was so nonchalantly put in there that like you kind of gloss over it and you're like, wait, did she just say what I think she said? And it is all culminating to something that happened when she turned like 18 or 16 or 18, and something on like this final night that something happened and she ran away from home after that and never looked back. And now she's returned as this adult. So we still don't know the events of everything that happened that final night, but we are getting little breadcrumbs of it. And I don't mind that. I do want to know, but I'm not frustrated like, okay, come on, tell me, because we're getting other snippets. So I know when we finally get that reveal, it is going to be really powerful. It is going to be really poignant, because we're getting all of these smaller breadcrumbs of horrific things that they've already told us. So you know whatever happened that last night is going to be almost like over the top. Her mom has just moved back into her house with her, and there's just this feeling of like being unsettled and uncomfortable with each other because of the tension there, and then that tension is bleeding into other aspects of the house. Of like, she feels really tense, she feels like, you know, her mom is being fake, and but something horrific just happened, and I don't want to say what it was because and I did go into this blind. I did not really know what this was about, other than it was like a tense mother-daughter relationship. And I like that I went into it blind, and I will say that I like the fact that the main characters are Jewish, and that is a large part of the storyline. Is even though she doesn't feel religious, or that she's not necessarily a practicing Jewish person, she does align, like she does consider herself Jewish, and like there are mentions of the Jewish faith and living and Hebrew and things like that. So that is, I'm enjoying that aspect, because I feel like I don't read a lot from out, like, other than like white Christian people, or like nondescript, non-religious people. So I do like that there is a non-Christianity focused spiritual aspect. So I can't figure out if it's going to be like a haunted house or a like possessed person. It almost, to me right now, is leaning towards like potentially a possession, that something is not quite right with the mom and how much of it is because the mom is a shitty person and how much of it is because the mom's possessed. I don't know. When I will be listening to a little bit more tonight, I do have some things that I need to get done. Excuse me. I need to pack. I like to have an audiobook on when I'm packing, just for a short little trip. We are going to my sister's house this weekend. Just a quick little trip, see some family, have some fun. We're going to like an IndyCar race, and it'll be a good time. And I can't wait. So, once I get more, I'll check in later. Hi, I only have a couple minutes because my husband's about to come home from work early, and we're going out on a lunch date. But I just finished listening to Bitter as the Heart by Mina Hardy, and holy bajoli, at least this was good. I'm gonna give this a 3.5. I think it was really well written. I really liked the inclusion of Jewish faith and Jewish not principles, what am I looking for? Heritage, culture. Our main character's family is Jewish, and so exploring that concept of Judaism and then like possession. This is a haunting book. It's not a haunted house. This is a possession book, not a haunted book, a possession book. We are dealing with a person who is possessed, and that exploration between mother and daughter relationships and turning that on its head, right? We perceive like there are two types of mother-daughter relationships. Either they are beautiful and wonderful and you're best friends and everything is hunky-dory, or you hate each other and it is the worst thing ever, right? And I do love that exploration as someone with a troubled mother-daughter relationship. Seeing that explored in these pages and having some of those experiences, obviously not the possession part, but seeing just some of those interactions on page, I remember saying like it was kind of difficult for me. And the more I listened to it, the more it moved past being difficult into being validating. I related so much with our main character and how she held on for so long to this hope that her mom would love her and would want her. And I know how that feels. And that was so powerful for me. Yeah. It's very fast paced. Especially the end, it kicks things into high gear. There are definitely moments of just like, what the fuck did I just listen to? What the fuck did I just read? And that was wild. It did feel kind of plot holey in some places. There were certain storylines that I wish were wrapped up. The book ends abruptly. I was looking at my audiobook timer going, no, like, how is this gonna wrap up? Surely we don't just end, but we do. It just ends, and you're like, okay, sure. I would like to see more of like what happened next. What happened after this big confrontation? I don't think it's a spoiler to say that, because I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But let's just say like there is a big final confrontation, as one would expect in a possession novel. There is a big final confrontation, and then the book ends directly after that confrontation. There is no the next day, 3 months later, 6 months, like no, it just ends. I think that obviously it was a deliberate choice, but that was very, very deliberate to just end the story there. And whilst I wish there was more storyline, I would like to know what happened with the neighbors and what happened with the fallout with the Jewish community and what happened between her and like her old high school sweetheart. Like, there were things that I wish, but at the end of the day, those are so mundane, and they were not the heart of this story. Haha, bitter is the heart. So I'm not mad about it. When I really think I'm not mad about it. I do think it's very powerful that there is this massive confrontation, this massive realization, and then the novel ends, and we as the reader are left with that huge emotional burden. Emotional feast. Like I definitely appreciated this, and it does talk about like generational trauma. Ooh, author playlist. I could write without music, but I'm glad I don't have to. Here's a partial playlist of songs I listened to while working on this book. I'm gonna have to listen to these. Breathe Again by Joy Oladokan, For Rosanna by Chris de Burgh, Angels or Devils by Dishwalla, Calling All Angels, James Saberi featuring Katie Lang, Like It or Not by Madonna, Demon by Guster, Revelations 22:20 by Pussifer, Daughters of Darkness by Hailstorm, Dear Daughter by Hailstorm, and For the Love of a Daughter by Demi Lovato. There's no author acknowledgements. That's it. Like the book, it says end, and then the next page is the playlist. So, yes, if you're interested in family dynamics, specifically strained and difficult mother-daughter dynamics and generational trauma, this is for you. But that does mean, with Bitter of the Heart, we're done. We have crossed off another square, and reminder, this was for a hidden gem because it has less than 1,000 reviews or rating, whatever. I gotta go. My garage is open, my husband's home. Gotta wrap this up, but like, let's see what comes up next.